Okay, let's talk about law of sines. Law of sines is basically a method or a technique that we have to solve triangles that are not right triangles. Law of sines will also work for right triangles, but when you have a right triangle, you can use SOHCAHTOA and Pythagorean theorem. If you're not dealing with a right triangle, you no longer can use those things. Okay, so we have law of sines, and law of sines says that you can set up a ratio where you have a fraction of the sine of an angle divided by the side length directly across from that angle. And those ratios, those three fractions for each angle, will be exactly the same within any one triangle. So if you have a side and an angle across from it, in other words, if you have one complete ratio, whether it's A, B, or C, you can find the other sides and angles. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. For this triangle right here, excuse me, I have an angle and I have the side directly across from it. So I can use that to find side B. So I set this up as sine of angle A divided by side A equals sine of angle B divided by side B. Okay, so I've got sine of 40 degrees divided by 4 equals sine of 60 degrees divided by B. So to solve this proportion, I would cross multiply B times sine of 40 equals 4 times sine of 60, and then divide both sides by sine of 40. And once I get to this point, I can type all this in my calculator. I'll give you a minute to do that. And you should get 5.4 for side B. Okay, which is lovely, right? Now, we have a little problem here because I want to find side C, but I don't actually have angle C. Except that, remember, all three angles have to add up to 180. So 40 plus 60 is 100, which means angle C must be 80 degrees. So I'm going to go back to my same ratio that I started with, sine of angle A divided by side A. And this time I'm going to set it equal to sine of 80 degrees divided by C. Just like before, I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 40. And then I'm going to type everything in my calculator so that I can get side C. 6.1. And just like before, a good check is to see if your biggest side is across from your biggest angle and your smallest side is across from your smallest angle. Okay, like I said before, if I'm going too fast, please pause it, write that down, go back, rewind, watch it many times if you want to. Okay, this is just for you to be ready for your test, which is on Thursday. All right, let's look at another one. This time I've got, again, two sides. I do not have a side and an angle across from it pair. Okay, this time I don't start with an angle and a side across from it. However, remember, the angles add up to 180. So 35 and 15 are 50, and I subtract from 180, meaning that angle C's got to be 130 degrees. So there's my ratio. There's my side and angle across from it. And I'm going to set this equal to sine of 35 divided by side A. And I'm going to cross multiply. And I'm going to divide. So that I can get side A by itself. And side A is 3.7. Okay. I'm going to start with the same ratio, sine of 130 degrees divided by 5 equals sine of 15 divided by B. So I'm going to let you pause the video, try this one on your own, and then see what you get. All right, did you get 1.7? If you did, good job. We agree, I got the same thing. Okay, if not, take a look at that work there, pause the video, See if you can figure out what you did. Okay? Let's look at a couple of word problems. Coast Guard Station Able is located 130 miles south of Station Baker. A ship at sea sends an SOS. And then they give us the coordinates, which they've also given us the triangle, which is nice. Use this information to answer the questions below. Isn't that funny? I didn't give you the questions. Let's find this side, which we'll call A, and this side, which we'll call B. Okay, let's find both of those sides. All right, so we do not have a right triangle, but I do have a triangle where I know two of the angles, so I can add them together and subtract from 180 to get my missing angle, which is 65 degrees. Okay, and if we want to write out everything in this triangle, angle A down here is 55 degrees, angle B up by Station Baker is 60 degrees, and then the angle by our ship is 65 degrees. The side across from Station A I do not know, the side across from Station B I don't know, but the side across from my 65 degree angle I do know, which means I can use law of sines. So I have sine of 65 divided by 130. There's my complete ratio. I know the side and the angle across from it equals sine of 55 divided by A. And I cross multiply and I divide. And I get A is 117.5. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Sine of 65 divided by 130. Notice that I'm going back to that same original ratio. You don't necessarily have to, but again, if I made a mistake when I found side A, this is going to prevent me from using a bad answer and potentially making a mistake again. So I'm going to cross multiply and I'm going to divide, and I get 124.2 for side B. So 117.5, 124.2. So I have found both side A and side B. Okay, let's look at another problem. To find the length of the span of a proposed ski lift from A to B, a surveyor measures angle DAB to be 25 degrees. Then walks off a distance 1950 feet and measures ACB to be 15 degrees. What is the distance? Well, let me draw this triangle a little bit bigger so that we can really get a good look at what we're doing here. Okay, here's A, here's B, here's C. So this angle over here is 25 degrees, and then this angle down here is 15 degrees. So you might say, well, how does that 25 degree angle help us? Well, we know that angle A inside our triangle, and along with the 25 degree angle, has to add up to 180, which means that this angle here has to be 155 degrees. Okay, since we know that angle, we can add it together with angle C, subtract from 180, now we have angle B. Okay, so let's make sure we really understand what this problem is looking for. It's looking for us to find the distance from A to B. Okay, the distance from A to B is across from angle C, so I'm going to call it side C. Okay, we also know that this distance down here is 1950. So I have an angle and the side across from it, so I can use law of sines. So I'm going to write sine of 10 degrees divided by 1950 equals sine of 15 degrees divided by C, the side that I'm looking for. And I'm going to cross multiply. And I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 10 so that I can get side C by itself. And then I'm going to put all of that in my calculator. So 1950 times sine of 15 divided by sine of 10 gives me 2906.4 feet. I hope that helps. Again, if you're still lost or confused, watch the video again, check out the homework, and ask the group in your class that taught you law of sines. Okay? Good luck, guys.